don't have to look up at the stars.
Chat, if you wanna come get it, then come for it. I'm so clean, my kick's nice, I'm Chuck Norris. Minute made the beat bounce, had to jump on it. Run for it, run, Gump Forrest Gump like hollow pumps, you gotta jump. No trouble, no double, I got a stun. You don't have to look up at the stars. Make one wish, you're looking at a star. Swag so fresh, you can put it in a jar. And the way I change gear, you can put me in the car. I remember when me and Seif used to sneak in every concert door. Now I got my feet in. Every day is Gift Friday, no weekend.
You don't have to look up at the stars.
Welcome back, everyone, to your favorite live sports show not named Touchdown with Doug Smith. It is indeed #ThisJustIn, and we've got some people back. It's been too long for this entire cast. But first, I have to really welcome back my brother, Dwayne Marcus, the notorious, the biggest lay on all of social media, because a lot of people thought that his real name was Marcus, but he knew the truth all along. Dwayne Marcus of the Go Talk with Marcus. What's up, my brother?
You're actually one of very few people that didn't know that my name wasn't Marcus. My name is Marcus. It's on my birth certificate, but it's glad to, I'm glad to be here for the last show of the year. It's nice to be back.
Always a special one. One half of the dynamic duo, JT. What's up?
What's going on, y'all, man? I feel like this is a setup, man. What's going on right now was not the way the script was pitched to me. So the fact that you got that hoodie on and then 6'3" Mafia Marcus is here, I feel like I already know what's gonna happen, man. So, but I'm happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me on.
Every other week with this helmet. This is nothing new. This
Nah,
setup
it's
is
the
nothing
hoodie,
new.
bro. The hoodie's a dead giveaway. And this dude got a haircut. And that's what I'm saying. I know this is a setup. He got an edge, and you got that hoodie on. This is a setup, but it's all good.
And it can never be a setup when they bring the Touchdown with Doug Smith, who is also another noted Dolphins fan. What's going on, Doug?
Man, it's good, man. I'm actually not wearing my Dolphins hat because I got angry, but huge Dolphins fan. And, man, Justin, thank you so much for bringing me back, man. Appreciate it. Always love coming on here.
Yeah, but it is a setup because JD was correct, because we're here to talk about none other than my Green Bay Packers, who have found a way to keep themselves in the playoff picture with yet another come-from-behind win, this time in Miami, South Beach, 26-20 after trailing by as many as, I want to say, 2 scores. 3 straight wins now put them a half game back of the final playoff spot. So my fellow Green Bay Packers fan, and the only one I know on social media, Dwayne Marcus, will the Green Bay Packers indeed find a way to squeeze themselves into the postseason?
I don't see why not. Right. Like at this point, I don't see why not. I understand we have the Vikings coming this week, and then of course you have the Lions the last game of the season, and the Lions are always a tough out for us. But when you look at how they've been playing this season, like they're always going to be a tough out, especially because how they played the season. But it is Lambeau football, right? We do finish both our next 2 games are both at home. We are playing 2 dome teams. I get in their divisional games, so it doesn't really matter, but it is 2 dome teams, and that does kind of play a factor. The Vikings have been a rocky football team the past couple weeks. Obviously, I know they came back, finished off the greatest comeback in the NFL history a couple weeks ago against the Colts, but they were still pretty rocky. Justin Jefferson is on his way to potentially becoming or breaking the record for most receiving yards in a single season. But like the Vikings have been rocky, and the Lions are still the Lions, right? Like, they've been a good football team, but the Lions are still a bad football team. They have one of the worst defenses, not just this season, but in the history of football. So we should be able to win those 2 games. What Justin is going to tell you guys in a short moments is that he doesn't have faith in the Packers making the playoffs because he doesn't think we're going to get the help that we need. Right. He doesn't think that the Commanders are going to lose one of their next 2 games, nor does he think that the Giants are going to lose both of their next 2 games, which it's possible. But like, here's the thing, right? The Commanders suck. And Dak Prescott, who the Cowboys have to play the Commanders, Dak Prescott's 24-6 against the NFC East in his career. So like, if I had to put my money on it, I would bet that the Cowboys are going to beat the Commanders the last week of the season. And I get it, because Justin's going to say, well, they have nothing to play for, and there's not going to be any point in playing your starters. And like, you can say all that. And that's fine. But Dak Prescott doesn't lose to the Washington Commanders. And while they don't have the 1 seed to play for, because I'm sure the Eagles will lock it up this week, like, it's still the Dallas Cowboys. They still want to be as fresh as possible because they're going to have to play the following week come Wild Card Weekend. And the Cowboys are going to beat the Commanders. So really, whether or not the Packers make it to the playoffs is dependent solely upon whether or not the Packers can beat the Vikings at home and then beat the Lions at home. Because as long as we do those 2 things, we're going to make the playoffs. And that's all there is.
You made my points for me already, Doug, so I guess there's no point in me going next. Doug, will the Packers make the playoffs, or is it a situation of too little too late?
Think too little too late, but I will say I think they're trending in the right direction. This young receiver core, man, it's, he really had all his eggs in one basket, last year when he lost his his best receiver over to the Raiders, right? So, but this Christian Watkins guy is really special, man. That's a guy to really keep your eye on. Is it possible? Sure, but I'm kind of riding on Motor City Dan and the Detroit Lions, man. I think they're going to sneak in. I think they're a team to celebrate. They're an emotional team. They have a why. I'm not sure the Packers really have a why right now. Though Aaron Rodgers is the man that they can do it. He is the sheriff for a reason, and he's going to remain the sheriff until he becomes dethroned as no longer the sheriff. So, but yeah, I got Detroit sneaking in there.
Dan Campbell and those non-biting knee Detroit Lions, can the Packers sneak in, or do the Commanders hold on to that last 7th spot, JT?
This is what I'm talking about. Why are you asking questions that you already know the answer to, man? You know the Packers have got a chance. They got an excellent chance because Dwayne, the GOAT 6'3" Marcus already said, Commanders suck. They're going to go back to Carson Wentz, which is an automatic L. And the Giants, I don't even know how they have wins. Like, they just falling apart. Like, all that glue and shit, sorry about that. All that glue and stuff that they were held up with is coming apart. So they're done. And then, like you said, they're playing 2 divisional teams that are dome teams with bad defenses outdoors in Lambeau in the winter. Like, and the Packers still have the best quarterback in the division by far. Like, this is equivalent to like Tom Brady. You losing to Tom Brady and you guys fumble it and give it back to him with a minute left. Like, it was going to happen. It's an automatic W. Like, the Packers will be in the playoffs and everything is breaking right for them at the correct time. So I don't even know why we're talking about this. You know the Packers are going to be in the playoffs. And I know it's getting hard for you to contain your excitement.
There's no excitement here, right? So if we controlled our own destiny, I would say yes. Like all of y'all mentioned, the Minnesota Vikings and Detroit Lions, yes, they've beaten us early season, but these are 2 dome teams coming in extremely frigid conditions in frozen tundra. I'm not wearing this hoodie just because I'm not here. That's the stunt on JT. It is cold. And, these are bad defenses. And these are not teams built to win games outdoors. Like, that's reality situation. The Packers are trending in the right direction. I don't think they've put together a complete game for the season or not even playing complementary football. But the reality is they've won 3 straight and they're accustomed beating these division opponents at home. Like, the Packers are accustomed owning the North. The problem is, gentlemen, again, they still do need help. And whether Dwayne Marcus wants to believe this or not, the first thing is that the Washington Commanders are playing the Cleveland Browns, who are already eliminated. So you could it could be Carson Wentz, it could be me, it could be Taylor Heineke. You could put that W right.
No, if it's you, we're not putting the W on the calendar for the Commanders. If it's you,
got to put. I mean, it's the Browns. You could put that W down the face.
It's Carson Wentz, man. It's an automatic W for anybody that needs him.
The Browns is if they don't have to play the Cowboys. The Cowboys are a superior football team, and Carson Wentz sucks.
Right. So we're gonna get to Cowboys now. I have to assume that Philadelphia is going to win this weekend. So what are the Cowboys playing for after that? They're not going to win the division. They're not getting the first seed. So you could as well put your aging roster, and they do have a lot of aging players. Let them rest. You're not going to risk Dak Prescott. You're not going to risk Ezekiel Elliott. You're not going to miss a lot or risk a lot of that offensive line. So I have to believe then the Commanders are going to win out. You're not asking the Giants to lose 2 in a row with a chance to get any playoffs available. No. If the Green Bay Packers had their own destiny in their own hands, I would come here and tell you right now, yes, Aaron Rodgers and I don't want to even say Matt LaFleur. The defense is getting a lot better. I don't think at home they will miss the chance to get any playoffs. But you're asking a hell of a lot. You're asking Washington to lose against Dallas, who's not going to be playing any starters.
Which they do by themselves anyway. Let's if we're gonna tell the story of the Washington Commanders and the Dallas Cowboys since Dak Prescott's been the quarterback, let's tell the story accurately. Like the last time the Commanders played good football against the Cowboys was a couple years ago on Thanksgiving, and Dak didn't play. Whenever Dak Prescott steps on the field against the Commanders, Dak Prescott owns the Washington Commanders. Now, you may have this theory that the Prescott's not going to play because they have nothing to play for. That's actually not true. Like, the Cowboys have things to play for. It might not be the division or the 1 seed, but the Cowboys have things to play for. Like, this team is not going to risk losing any kind of rhythm that they could potentially build with 2 tune-up games these next 2 weeks to make sure that they are at their optimum level come playoff time, right? Like, look, I, as a Packers fan, and you've been there for a lot of it, as has Neil, like, I like to come on this show sometimes and give you guys 5 and 7 minute rants about how terrible the Cowboys are and how they can't get the job done. But like, let's face reality. This season, the Cowboys, by all intents and purposes, have gotten the job done when it really, 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 really mattered. And I'm sure we'll touch on the Cowboys a little bit later in the show. But like, the Cowboys are not going to rest their starters because they have nothing to play for. Because what the Cowboys have to play for is to make sure that everyone's ready. Not just Micah Parsons, not just CeeDee Lamb, not just Michael Gallup, not just Dak Prescott, not just Tony Pollard. Like, everyone on the team is going to have to be ready, because whether it's the Vikings that they have to play, or they have to play the 49ers, or they have to play the Buccaneers, like, they're going to want to be ready, and they're going to want to make sure that they are primed and tuned up and ready for what is going to be, no matter which one of those 3 teams they play, or maybe the Panthers, but probably not the Panthers, whichever one of those 3 teams they play, it's going to be a tough game, no matter what it is. The Cowboys are not going to rest their starters come week 18. And even if they do, I would trust the Cowboys led by Cooper Rush before I ever trust any team quarterbacked by Carson Wentz. And that's just the reality situation. If you wanted to come out here and tell me that we don't have a chance because it would be the Giants have to lose 2 games, I'd agree with you, because I don't think the Giants are going to lose to the Colts this week. But if you're telling me that we have a chance if the Cowboys beat the Commanders, and it's almost a guarantee every time these 2 teams get on the field together, the Cowboys beat the Commanders, I like our chances to make the playoffs. I do.
If you tell me Carson Wentz is starting, I can't argue that. I have nothing to counter with that. But there are always 2 sides to a coin, Doug, and I don't know if the Packers won this more so than Tua threw away the game in that second half. Now we found out inevitably that he apparently is in concussion protocol after seemingly, and I saw the play this morning or this afternoon, getting concussed late in that second quarter. So, Doug, we've sat down and watched a Miami team that could not lose once Tua's under center to now can't win with him. What is gone wrong with Tua Tagovailoa?
Man, a lot of stuff has been happening with the Miami Dolphins. Starting off with Tua, when he's hot, nobody's really saying nothing. He's doubting the haters. He's shutting up a lot of people. Part of me, at first, that we all, as fans, we all got to recognize our biasness, right? As a fan, I'm like, I'm going to defend him more than I am Aaron Rodgers, kind of thing. But I got to put my biasness aside. Yesterday was a sorry sack of crap. He did not play good at all. 3 consecutive drives, each with an interception. He doesn't always play that way, right? But I will put Scott and maybe even a Kirk Cousins. Like, he'll wow you sometimes, but he'll also lose you some games. Now we're finishing up season 3 of the Tua Tagovailoa project. I still think he's a good quarterback. I still do. But this team had an offensive line problem at the beginning of the year. And everybody saw, Teron Armstead, this signing is, this is going to be great. He's been banged up. He's been in and out all year. And then we have multiple other issues throughout the O-line. Not to mention we have a first-time head coach. This isn't to place blame everywhere else, because Tua takes a lot of this blame here. But, you have a first-time head coach, and a big problem, this defense has lost a lot of games. It didn't lose it this week against the Packers. That was Tua was a defensive player of the week for the NFL. He gets that award, right? But, Mike McDaniel, he has very high EQ. EQ, different from IQ, means emotional intelligence. He's great at relating to players, but sometimes, man, that toughness and that tough love that Brian Flores once had, man, really brought that team. I'm not saying Brian Flores was an offensive genius. He definitely was not. And, man, I think that it's easy to look at the 3 interceptions like, it's all Tua. This is all Tua's fault. But this team, it has a lot of issues. It has a lot of coaching issues. You can't play 4 quarters. The defense keeps giving up clutch plays. Great D-line, great linebacker core. Secondary is terrible, right? O-line, terrible. So these two issues, and they are big issues. This is not a Super Bowl winning team. But I would say, yes, Tua is probably about 40% of the blame, but 60% of the blame is between coaching and a defense. Mind you, this defense was a top 3 defense last year. The defense got better, and Coach Mike McDaniel brought in Josh Boyer, and somehow this defense got way, way worse. And you can't just blame it on injuries. Defensive scheme is absolutely trash.
That's what happens when you get rid of good men like Brian Flores, but that's a conversation for another time. The other Dolphins guy on the show, JT, what is going wrong with Tua? Can we put some of this on coaching, or is this a lot about the arm strength that we knew he didn't have coming out of Alabama?
Where do we even start? Well, to go back to what Doug was saying about the defense, I mean, that's all a testament to Brian Flores, because I don't think that defense was good enough to begin with, because we never had any sort of pass rushers that were actually dominant on their own. I felt like he drew up a great scheme and guys just knew how to play like within it, kind of like a New England type of thing where they don't have superstars, but like well coached together, they make a lot of noise.
About this though,
but that's what happens. But that's what happens when you actually go get somebody that's legit. But before it was just like Kyle Van Noy getting 8-9 sacks. But I think Flores was great on defense. But like you said, offensive side of the ball just couldn't make it work. So the question is how much is Tua to blame, or do I think he sucks?
What's wrong with him?
Nothing's wrong with him. This is who he is. Like, I don't understand. Like, why? Here's the thing. I'm a Dolphins fan, as you can tell. But I just don't understand, like, how many excuses can we give Tua? Like, what does he have to do for people to be like, all right, cool, like, I'm checked out. Like, I gotta disassociate myself from him just for the sake that people don't think I know what I'm talking about. Like, I just don't understand. Like, any other quarterback that was playing the way he's played throughout his career, or his career has gone that way, like, they would have given up on him. I just don't understand what the love affair is with him. But he's got the same issues that he already had. He's little, can't stay healthy, cannot throw the deep ball. I'm not saying every quarterback has to be able to throw a deep ball, but you got Tyreek Hill and Jaylen Waddle out there. It's got to be a part of your arsenal. Like, he ain't got them caliber of bullets in his arm. So it was on display yesterday. And what happens with him is, as the games get colder, I think he becomes less and less effective. Like you see in the Buffalo game, like they played okay, but that snow came a little too early, and that's essentially when we were out of the game. And yesterday, you say it was South Beach, but I know it's not the frozen tundra, but it was cold. It's cold in Florida. Like, it was cold. So yeah, like, it was cold. So I think he is a dome quarterback and a check down guy at best. I think you're seeing the limitations with his ceiling, and it's just not meshing with what the coaching staff ultimately wants to get out of this offense. And it's obviously not meshing with the weapons that we have. Like, that pass he threw to Tyreek yesterday, that was a punt. Like, he had to come back and field that. Like, thank God it's Tyreek and he was able to do it. But if that was like MVS, that would have been an interception. So I just think, I know the guys love him. You know, he's tough, he's competitive, he practices hard, he's accurate, but like, he's just not a high ceiling quarterback. Like, I don't see him winning a playoff game on the road when we need it, and it's because of him. So I think that's the major problem with the Dolphins is we just don't have that quarterback to compete in December and win playoff games when it's needed most. Like, we're not going to rely on him. And because we don't have all these other pieces like defense, offensive line, our running game is kind of suspect at times. Since we can't 100% rely on those other things, like, I think when Tua messes up, it becomes so glaring that he is the issue that you got to go get somebody that can overcome those things if we can't fix them.
Dwayne, I know you're not the biggest Tua Tagovailoa fan there is right now. Considering that concussion apparently happened late in the second quarter, right before the fumble, and Miami never scores again, do you think it's more the concussion, or do you believe this is Tua Tagovailoa's limitations and every team in the league is no caught up?
Well, Tua was never good. So there's that. Let's get that out of the way. Let's get that out of the way right now. Tua Tagovailoa is not a good quarterback. He is a average NFL starting quarterback at best. He is what I would call a bridge quarterback. I don't really care about how bad Tua played, and I don't watch Tua enough to be able to sit down with you and
you should because he definitely gave y'all the game.
No, what I mean is when I say
Yeah.
I don't watch Tua enough, what I
How
mean
you-
is Tua is not. I've seen enough Tua to know what Tua is not. Right. I haven't seen enough Tua to know what Tua is. I can tell you more about what he's not than I can say about what he is. I don't really care to talk about Tua right now. Like what the biggest concern for me from this game is if Tua really is in concussion protocol. Why is it that for the second time this season, Tua apparently got concussed and somebody on Miami's sidelines decided to put him back in the game? Why is this the second time that Tua's been concussed in half of a football game and he's been allowed to walk back onto the field and play the rest of the game? This is unacceptable. Like, we had this whole big thing the first time around where we said it was like, oh, we're going to start having concussion spotters on the field, and we're going to start doing this, we're going to start doing that, and we're going to make it more important about the head scan. Like, okay, that happened, and then Tua went out there, and we saw the thing happen with him against the Bengals, and he missed some time, and we came back, and we kind of had this thing like, well, when Tua plays football, and the Dolphins are this, and the Dolphins are that, we tried to justify Tua's good play, and all this stuff. And don't get me wrong, for the first half of the season, Tua was playing incredible football, and when he was playing good football, the Dolphins were winning, and there wasn't many things bad to say about the Dolphins. But what's bothering me right now is, this is the second time in this NFL season, not in Tua's career, not over the last couple of years. This is the second time in this season, in like a 2.5 month span, that Tua Tagovailoa has apparently been potentially concussed in a football game, and the decision makers on the sideline, from the medical standpoint for the Miami Dolphins, have said, you know what, he's okay to go back out onto the field. When are the athletic trainings or the doctors or Mike McDaniel himself going to look Tua in the eye and tell him, no, you cannot go back out there? Like, I get it. Every athlete has this burning thing inside of them where they just want to go out there and they want to put their bodies on the line and they want to compete and they want to do it for their team. They want to do it for the fans. They want to do it for the hopes of winning a championship. I get it. But there's a reason why there are medical trainers. There's a reason why there are doctors. There's a reason why there are coaches. There's a reason why there are all of these people on the sideline that make these decisions that some players don't agree with. We hear all the time how players are like, well, I think I'm ready, but it's really up to the coaches. And then the athletic trainers decide, well, maybe you're not ready today. And then they're like, well, they said I'm not ready. I don't like it, but it's what they say. Like, how many more times is Tua going to get concussed mid-game and sent back out onto the football field before someone realizes that something needs to be changed in the medical department of the Miami Dolphins organization? And I'm not going to look. Tua played a terrible first half, or a terrible second half. He did, and Doug alluded to it. 3 consecutive possessions ending in interceptions. One interception was actually worse than the one before. It was tough to watch as someone that watches football. As a Packers fan, of course, I enjoyed it. But in the moment, you look and you say, this is a really bad Tua. That video comes out, and I was like, wow, Tua could have been concussed throwing 3 picks in a row. Why does this keep happening to Tua? Why? If this is supposed to be the guy that's supposed to be building an organization around, this is the guy that you said you brought in Jaylen Waddle for, this is the guy that you said you brought in Tyreek Hill for, this is the guy that you said you brought all these pieces in offensively, and you kind of both of the defense you want to build around Tua, and it's twice now this season that this man's been particularly concussed, and you let him just walk back out on the football field and finish the game. That's unacceptable. And something
they don't care about him. They don't care about it.
It's unacceptable.
It's similar to like the conspiracies about Trey Lance and the 49ers. Like, they play Trey Lance like they don't do the other quarterbacks because somebody in that organization didn't agree to have Tua there in the first place. So they're like, look, if he, I don't want to be mean, but like, if he dies, he dies. Like, whatever. Like, we got him under a rookie deal. If he happens to get into the playoffs, like, so be it. Like, the way they keep doing that, the answer to your question is they don't think he's the franchise quarterback with Mike McDaniel. So they're like, look, we'll just let him play. And if he makes it, oh, well. Like, they wouldn't do this with Justin Herbert, like, or Joe Burrow. Like, they be protecting them, especially like a young quarterback that they think is a part of the future. Like, it just shows like they do not think Tua is the future. Like, if that's the case, then like just let him play. Like, that's how they feel.
Yeah, but whether you think he's the future or not, like, again, like I said, we sat here at the beginning of the season, leading into that Bengals game, was like, well, you know, and then that thing happened in the Bengals game where he gets knocked down. Now he's getting cut off the field. And all you hear for the next week is, oh, we need to do this, we need to do that. And we're going to start having concussion spots. We just saw a couple weeks ago, or maybe that was last week in that Patriots.
But I don't want you to overlook that, though.
Reps.
That's a big deal because I feel like when you don't think a guy like Tua in that situation that he's in is the future, like you do stuff like this because you have big decisions coming up. He got a 5th-year option coming up that they got to decide, because if they're not going to exercise the 5th-year option, they got to get somebody to play. Or you got to decide, am I going to pay for this Kirk Cousins clone and be conned into 9 wins thinking, and I got to pay him like he's Joe Flacco, and it sets my whole franchise back. Like, the Dolphins got some big decisions to make, and they don't got time to waste. So I feel like internally they know, like, all right, like he can only go so far. We got to get somebody else.
If
it's an interesting situation because, they're, probably two solid cornerbacks and 2 solid O linemen away from really being a Super Bowl caliber team. But the question is Tua. And people forget 10, 11 weeks ago, this man's hands was like this. I'm not mocking him. I'm not making fun of them. People matter above profits. And the NFL is very, we could take this from racial stuff to political stuff. It's very notorious for virtue signaling, like, oh, look at us. Oh, we're this perfect organization. And no company is perfect. I get it. But man, you got a concussion again. And this guy just don't do well with injuries, man. And that O-line is suspect. And he is tough, man. He's a pretty solid leader, great guy. People like him. But man, like these injuries, man, for me, that's up there, man, because, whether I don't care if it's a New England Patriots, bro. I don't care if it's Josh Allen, who are freaking arch nemesis in the division, right? I don't wish that on nobody, man, and it sucks, man. And then Marcus brought up, like, man, who the heck on this team said he could go out there? Who said he could go out there?
Stephen Ross.
Is this guy going to be like Muhammad Ali and some
Ross? Ross was like, hey, man, let's throw him out there and see what happens. Yeah. But I agree with you, because it goes the other way. Like, when the NFL cares about something or players, like, you see the level of protection and caution that goes into it. Like, if Brady was folded up like that in a Thursday night game, like it'll be flag football for the rest of the season. And it's like they would not put him back out there until he was 100% ready. Like, I just feel like what they're doing with Tua is careless. It's not fair to him, because they're just turning him into a pincushion because they don't want it to make it seem like they made a bad decision by drafting him. It was like, we're the Dolphins. He was drafted into this dysfunctional family. Like, he didn't ask to be here. And I feel like he's done his best to overcome it, but I don't feel like we're being fair to him. But I mean, also, I don't think he's the answer to be a franchise quarterback.
I understand the point that there may be people within the organization that don't want him there. I get it, right? Happens all the time. I'm sure there's people across every organization that didn't want somebody, whether it's quarterback, running back. They don't always agree on draft night, but it's like it's a democracy, man. Like, majority rules, someone's got to get picked up. This is who it is. I get it. Tua is not the best quarterback from the draft class. We all know that. Tua is not this gunslinging, shoot him up, knock him down, like, world-beating quarterback. I get it. But on a level of human decency, right? On a level of, like, maybe this isn't the guy that we want, but this is a guy that in the first half of the season, when he stepped on the football field, was playing good football. We were winning, and we looked like a bona fide Super Bowl contender. Even if you don't want to pick up Tua's 5th-year option, which is, we see a lot of times where a quarterback can be playing great, or players can be playing great. They could be game-changing, and their options still don't get picked up, or they still get sent somewhere else in a trade package. It happens all the time. I get it. You might not like Tua. Tua might be the black sheep. You might not have never wanted him there. All I'm saying is, at the end of the day, there's someone on these sidelines that needs to be fired. Not today, not tomorrow. They need to be fired yesterday. This is the second time this season it's happened. This is the second time this has happened. And that's what I mean when I say, like, this is because now this isn't just a Dolphins issue. This is now an NFL issue. Because what this means is, whatever parameters or things that the NFL said they were going to do after the first incident, clearly it's not working. It's not, which means everybody needs to go back to the drawing board. The Miami Dolphins medical staff need to go back to the drawing board. The NFL needs to, like, everyone needs to go back to the drawing board, and the NFLPA needs it. Like who's going to say something about the fact that this quarterback has been concussed twice in game and has been sent back out there onto the field to finish the game? Granted, the first time they won, cool. The second time, not only did they lose, they lost bad, and you can directly say that the reason why they lost bad is because Tua made bad decisions, and he probably made these bad decisions because his head wasn't working, because his head got banged up early.
But that's the NFL, though. That's what Doug says. The NFL. Like, you care about concussions. What about the guys have to go out there and play with other injuries they shouldn't be out there?
Well, so that's So that's where I had my notes prepared for this, right? And I don't know. So after seeing that he is in concussion protocol, and I saw the hit on video, and it kind of leads right into going into the second half, and they don't score again. Maybe you can make the argument in that kind of led to three interceptions. But I also want to see, it's not like I haven't seen this from Tua before. So you asked Jimmy, I should be watching Tua Tagovailoa. I kind of did over the last 4 or 5 weeks. And it's ever since that I want to see first play against San Francisco 49ers, that the 49ers made some adjustments, and I wonder if he has been exposed. Because this is a copycat league. And San Francisco 49ers are the first that realized, or may have realized, hold on a second, this guy is just targeting the middle of the field. Probably because he doesn't have the arm strength to challenge us outside the numbers. So what we're going to do is going to flood the middle of the field with as many defenders as possible. You and Doug alluded to the fact that Miami does not run the football, cannot run the football. So linebackers don't have to worry about getting up to the line of scrimmage. You're seeing them playing as deep as possible. Now they're standing up, so far. So they're essentially playing coverage. And obviously then you have your safeties back just in case Jaylen, Waddle, and Tyreek Hill do get past you. And you saw that second half adjustment with the Packers. You saw the same situation with the Chargers. The Chargers, they even adjust. They started the game just like crowding the middle of the field, and the Packers made the same thing. If you watch these interceptions, Devondre Campbell and Quay Walker are nowhere near the line of scrimmage. They're so far back. They're basically playing underneath all of these passes, and then the defenders are right behind Waddle and Hill. They're basically daring them to run the football and saying, we know you don't have the arm strength to go up and over us. Like, run the football or throw it to the sidelines, but you're not beating us over the middle of the field. And each of those 3 interceptions is the same thing over and over again. The player playing the last 2, player playing underneath, whether it was Devondre Campbell and Rasul Douglas, they were underneath, just waiting for those passes to come. And the first one, because those linebackers were underneath, he had to overshoot them. And again, he doesn't have the touch to go up and down. Just lobbed one right to Jaire Alexander. Like, it is its arm strength. And then it also shows, because I'm not sure if y'all heard the post-game press conference, Matt LaFleur kind of alluded to it. He is an anticipatory thrower. And if you're anticipating throws, it kind of tells me you do not have the arm strength to make adjustments and push the ball deep. Like, you have to throw the spots. I mean, obviously, all quarterbacks anticipate throws. But Tua more so than anyone, because he does not have that arm strength, has to anticipate a lot of these throws. And if you're anticipating a lot of these throws, they're going to be short, and underneath defenders are just going to sit down and wait for you. And I want to see a lot of this is on Mike McDaniel. As much as Tua doesn't have the arm strength, at some point you're going to have to adjust. Teams have now figured out, let us flood the middle of the field and wait for picks. You're going to have to.
But that's what I don't get. Like, this is exactly why Tua gets away with this stuff, is you want to blame Mike McDaniel for not putting together a better scheme for a weak arm quarterback. You know what is the best scheme for a weak arm quarterback? Run the ball. And you can't call run plays if you can't run the ball. Like, Mike McDaniel, them not being able to run the ball is not because Mike McDaniel can't scheme up a run play. Like, the dude was the run game coordinator for the 49ers. He had dudes that wasn't even running back making Pro Bowls as the running back. Like, it's because he came here in year 1. We just don't have the personnel. But it's like, how much more do you want us to protect this quarterback? Like, some weeks we can run the ball, but we obviously can't do it at will. So he is the QB1. Everybody's swearing he should have been in the MVP race. Like, at some point, you got to win these games against teams that are not even in the playoffs when you are fighting for a high playoff spot. Like, you're at home. Like, you're supposed to put the Packers away. Their defense is trash. I've been on this show enough to hear y'all talking about how bad it is and how they should change it. Like, how is this not on Tua? Like, y'all making this about everything else about the real problem. He sucks. He's a great person, great guy, but he is not that dude. Like, just say it. It's okay.
And you...
Well, go ahead, Dwayne, quickly.
No, go ahead.
So, since he is not that guy, Doug, Can the Miami Dolphins still make the playoffs?
Yeah, absolutely. Yes, but it's gonna take them playing 8 quarters over the next 2 games. They're gonna have to play 4 quarters. The Patriots are a scrappy team. They're not very good. But I'm not confident in their quarterback. I think that game could be a game that could be a booster. But then there's the Jets, and they're not the same team that they were when they beat us earlier in the year, right? So I'm gonna say yes, we do make it into the playoffs. Am I confident? No. Am I being a fanboy? I'm also gonna say no to that one as well too. Just because we still have so many pieces of puzzle that are performing well. That D-line is humming. The linebacker court is humming. Secondary, no. Anybody throwing the ball is gonna put up 2 to 3 touchdowns on us, but we also need to be able to put up 3 to 4 touchdowns on other teams, right? We also have a backup quarterback, and though it was preseason where he led the NFL, it's also preseason for a reason, right? JT knows what I'm talking about. So that quarterback that we took and we got out of Kansas State,
Skyler, man, he's supposed to be. Everybody thought he could be a starter at some point. They thought he could be our Mike White.
Yeah, exactly. So I'd like to see what he does. That's just me. I don't want to see Tua out there. I think he's in the Kirk Cousins, Dak Prescott conversation at best. Accuracy is on point when the O-line is blocking. And earlier in the year, he went toe-to-toe with Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and went toe-to-toe with the Patriots, who actually started the season very strong. Not so much in the win category, but just they were competing very well. And Tua he was on cloud 9, man. We're 3-0, and then we had some downs, and then we got back up again after that 3-game losing streak due to him being injured. But again, I think I've seen all that I need to see. I think they'll make the playoffs, but I don't see them making it past round 1, man. So that's my take on it.
Dwayne, Miami Dolphins close out with, like Doug said, 2 division opponents, the Patriots and the Jets. Do the Dolphins still get in the playoffs? Granted that they do right now hold that they are in full possession of the 7th seed right now.
I mean, they should, and they should. If the Chargers win tonight, then I think that just puts a lot more pressure on these next 2 games, of course. And let's just, the Chargers are going to beat the Colts tonight. So there's only 1 spot left in the AFC playoffs.
You sure about that? If this would be the most Chargers thing to happen. Like, this is on brand for them to lose this game.
I bet my house on it. I bet my house on it.
Put them back.
Can we? Hey, whoa, hey! Can we get a signature on that? Because I'm coming to collect.
That's fine. The Chargers
keeping the receipts.
I want the deed.
I have no reason to think that the Chargers. Look. Say what you want about the Chargers. The Chargers have been beaten up with injuries all season, and they are a 1 away tonight in a few hours from making the playoffs. And they're also getting healthier progressively as the playoffs get closer. They could be a dangerous team come playoff time. Like the Chargers,
they are getting healthy at the right time.
The Chargers could very well have a Bengals type run, like the Bengals had last season. They could have a run like that this season. I don't think they will, but they could. I'm high on the Chargers almost all the time. But the Dolphins, like Doug mentioned, they have the Patriots and they have the Jets, who are both sitting right outside on the bubble at 8 and 9 in the AFC. So these games do mean a lot, right? And the Dolphins should be able to get the job done, and they should be able to beat these 2 teams. If it's Mike White as the Jets QB, I'm nervous about that game if I'm the Dolphins playing the Jets, right? I'm not concerned about the Patriots game because the Patriots have just been up and down all season, and the record reflects that, given that they're 7-8. But if it's Mike White suiting up in what I believe is the last game of the season for Week 18, in that game, where I would assume pretty much whichever one of those 2 teams wins that game is probably going to make the playoffs if the Dolphins beating the Patriots and clinching the spot. Like, that's a massive game. And JT said it'd be very much like on brand for the Chargers if the Chargers were to lose today against the Colts. I feel like, given what we've seen from the Dolphins the past couple seasons, it'd also be very on brand for the Dolphins if they somehow can't clinch the playoff spot next week to play that game, what I think is a home game at home against the Jets, and let Mike White come down there to South Beach and just absolutely torch them, and now they're out of the playoffs. I think that, so they should, because they're the better team in both scenarios. But if Mike White's playing football, which it looks like he will be because he's supposed to be playing this week for the Jets, if Mike White's still the quarterback come Week 18 for the Dolphins, I think the Dolphins should be nervous about that game. I really do.
White doesn't bang Cougars, so have a lot more energy to bang the Dolphins.
Like, what? So,
Oh, man. I can't follow that up. Man.
Will your Dolphins still make the playoffs?
So here's the thing. This is usually where I rely on Don, so I'm gonna rely on y'all for this information before I answer. If the Dolphins lose these next two, are they automatically out?
If the Dolphins lose these next two, they're done. Yes.
No,
Well,
that is like no matter what happens in the universe, like who wins this? Like if the Dolphins lose these two, they're out. So basically,
I know for a fact if the Dolphins lose their next two and the Jets win out, the Jets are a playoff team, regardless of what happens.
The Jets would.
So basically, if we lose two and the Jets beat us, they're taking our spot.
And I think the Jets are going to win this week. So that game, that Week 18 game, is basically going to decide the.
I'm very worried. I'm very worried about
Pittsburgh, who is a game behind them as well, and they have two division opponents, the Ravens and the Browns, to close out. So don't rule out the Pittsburgh Steelers just yet.
I love Mike Tomlin as much as the next guy. I do. Can he pick it? I'm not going to disrespect Mike Tomlin. I'm going to disrespect.
I can see it.
I'm going to disrespect Kenny Pickett. I do not have faith in Kenny Pickett over these next 2 weeks. So no, I think, and I don't think Mike Tomlin gets enough credit at all. Like I think I saw somewhere that someone's like Mike Tomlin should be fired. Yeah, screw you. But when you look at the playoff picture, right? Because like I said, it's the Dolphins are 7, and then. Like, Tennessee's not going to make the playoffs. The Raiders are too far back because they'll be 8 and 9 if they win out. Like, it's going to either be the Dolphins or the Jets. I don't see the Patriots making the playoffs in any scenario.
The playoffs?
The Jags are winning their division right now. And as long as they hold on to that, they will be a playoff team.
We're going to get that. So, JT, do you have your Miami Dolphins squeezing in, sneaking in, sliding into the playoffs?
Nah, because look at the two teams that we're playing. It's Belichick in December, which Mike McDaniel got to show me he could beat him, and it's the Jets with Mike White, who is the GOAT. Mike White to me, he's like Taylor Heineke. I don't think he's good, but for some reason, when he starts, the team thinks he's Jordan. And they just start playing outrageous. So, like, I just don't think Tua is going to be enough to overcome those things. Like. And this is where I will criticize.
May not be playing, huh? Just remember.
Oh, that's even worse because if Teddy Bridgewater is the quarterback, it's a wrap. If Skylar Thompson's the quarterback, it's a wrap. But like, Mike McDaniel got to show me that he could coach in December. Like maybe it's just his first year, like he's having a tough time. But it's like I don't trust Tua. I don't trust the coach in December yet. But this is always my issue with them when people were talking about like Tua for MVP. Or, the Dolphins are a Super Bowl team. It's like, this is all because this is the same thing that happens with the Bills. Everything is cute until you have to go to Arrowhead in December and win a playoff game. And I never thought that we could do that. So therefore, like, whatever we doing don't matter to me because I know we can't do that. And that's what's going to make us a Super Bowl team. So, yeah, we can absolutely lose these next two games and we'd be out of the playoffs in Dolphins fashion, picking in the middle of the draft where it does not matter. Well, actually, we won't be picking because they took our draft pick. So,
so Miami isn't the only team from the AFC to lose 4 straight games and find themselves struggling to get in the playoffs. The previous owners or rulers or leaders in the AFC South, otherwise known as the Tennessee Titans, also have lost 4 straight games to find themselves on the outside looking in, Doug. They are currently tied with the Jacksonville Jaguars for the lead in the division. However, one of those 4 recent losses came to Jacksonville Jaguars, meaning that the Jacksonville Jaguars own the tiebreaker and currently own that 4th seed. Both teams are tied, but regardless of whatever happens this week, whoever wins or loses, the division will indeed come down to a Week 18 matchup, Tennessee versus Jacksonville. Doug, I'm going to put you on the spot like I do everyone in this show. Who wins the AFC South?
Oh man, this is Duval Jaguars, man, all day, man. I like what Coach Doug is doing over there in Duval County, man. I'm loving it. I like the Tennessee Titans too. I really do. Shout out to Hassan Haskins, that's my guy. Back up to Derrick Henry, but man, this team is they're very one-dimensional. And Malik, he needs more time to develop. We saw a couple weeks back where he started against the Kansas City Chiefs and he would say hike, and everything just fell apart around him. I'm just not confident. I do want to see what he looks like in 2 years from now, but he does need that development, and I don't think we're going to see the results just yet. Hope he one day starts, and this team could actually build up that O-line and get him some receivers and all that good stuff, right? But as of right now, it's the Jags time, man. I even seen the Jags maybe even winning 1 to 2 games in the playoffs, man. They're a really, really scrappy team that nobody's talking about.
Big part of it, I also forgot going into this. I forgot to mention Ryan Tannehill may be done for the season, although he is trying to hold out hope for playing week 18. But before I go any further, sorry, Dwayne, I can't come to you because I have the records, I have the tape, I kept the receipt. And JT was the first person who came on this show. Yes, JT, I did not forget. JT came on this show before a football was even kicked and said the Jacksonville Jaguars were going to win this division. So I cannot expect JT, no, with the division on the line, to go back on his own words, no.
No, say that again. Sorry,
I
was too happy. I was not even listening. I was like, you know what? I wish Don and Blaine were here because you know what? They laughed and the Colts were supposed to be in the Super Bowl and all this other crazy stuff. But so you're asking me, are the Jags going to win the division? Of course, they won it before the first game was even played. And check this. Look, I'm gonna say the same thing I said before. Like, I'm really not surprised because this is just how bad Urban Meyer was. Like, he was so bad. By firing him, it's probably worth 4 to 5 wins in Vegas. Like, that alone was like, I know there's upside, but I know Trevor Lawrence is not that bad. You're seeing that he's great. And the Jags were always going to be one of these rare teams where it's like they were bad and they fired their coach, but somehow they're in a position to get better. Like, how often do you get a team that's that bad record-wise, but then you get a Super Bowl coach to come in and develop your young franchise quarterback like Doug Peterson? Like, that very rarely happens. And on top of that, they had a bunch of cap space to put weapons around Trevor. So it was always a sleeping giant, and then you put it in that sorry division, and it's like anything can happen. And it comes down to this. They got the best quarterback in that division, and he's on fire right now. So I got to go with that team. And I don't even think it's close. Like the Titans, I feel like it's smoke and mirrors. They got too many injuries. I don't think Tannehill will be back. The Colts are the Colts. We see how that dumpster fire is going. And the Titans are and the Texans are tanking. So I don't see how they don't win this division. Like, they got Zay Jones out here about to get another contract extension. Like, I just don't see how anybody can catch them and keep them out of the winning the division. And I agree with you. I think they could be like that Jacksonville Jaguars team that went to the AFC Championship and lost to Brady. Like, I see this as that type of team. Just the offense is going to be the one that's carrying them. So yeah, absolutely, they can win a division and possibly more.
Lost to Brady, but that Jacksonville Jaguars team, were it not for a bad referee whistle stopping a play dead, that was a sure scoop and score.
The Miles Jack, yeah, should have been a touchdown.
Should have been a touchdown, and we're talking about the Jacksonville Jaguars in the Super Bowl against the Kansas City Chiefs and not Tom Brady, but that's a conversation for another day. We said the Houston Texans are tanking, and yet still the Tennessee Titans still lost to them. So, Dwayne, do you have as little faith in the Tennessee as we do, or can the Titans tighten up and actually beat the Jaguars and hold on for this division?
Listen, I come on this show and I teach you guys things. Every day I come on this show and I teach you something. I'm going to teach you something new today, okay? It's very simple. It's 3 words, okay? At the end of last season, right, in February, the 3 words I always came on the show and I said was what, Justin? What were they? Joseph Lee Burrow. It was Joseph Lee Burrow, right? I'm here on the show. Last show of the year, right? I'm going to give you 3 words here. William Trevor Lawrence. Yes, his first name is William. It's not Trevor. His first name is William. William Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars are not only going to win this division, they're going to win this division.
Don't say
they're going to win a playoff game. Like,
no!
This is a football team that is we are going to see come the division around the playoffs. Do you know why they're going to win a playoff game, Justin? I'm glad you asked. Because their first game of the playoffs is going to be a home game. The Jacksonville Jaguars get to play their first game at home. And it doesn't matter who they play. Look, I have faith in the Chargers, right? But if you look at the 3 teams that they're going to have to face, it's either going to be the Ravens, it's going to be the Chargers, or the Dolphins/Jets. The Jacksonville Jaguars this season, unless Lamar comes back healthy for the Ravens, and even then, a little iffy. The Jacksonville Jaguars of this season, from wire to wire this season, don't even let forget what the record says. When you look at the Jacksonville Jaguars and the way they played football this season, specifically Trevor Lawrence, who, by the way, his QBR this season, his pass rating this season, the second highest jump in the history of football from first year to second year for a quarterback, right? When you look at how the Jaguars played this season, I cannot sit here and tell you with a straight face that I have faith that the Jets or the Dolphins could go to Duval County and beat the Jaguars in Jacksonville. I'm going to be honest with you. I think if anyone other than Brandon Staley was the coach of the Chargers could beat the Jaguars. I don't think Brandon Staley can coach the Chargers to a playoff win in Jacksonville. And as much as we love Action Jackson, and as much as he is a superstar caliber quarterback,
don't be disrespectful.
And as much as he deserves his contract, whether it's from Baltimore or elsewhere, we talked all season about how iffy this football team has been, and yet somehow at the end of next season, if Lamar Jackson's still the quarterback, people are going to say they're going to the Super Bowl, which is dumb. Whatever. The Baltimore Ravens defense is atrocious. It is. It has been. It has been a disgusting bad defense this season.
It made Tua like an MVP, Justin. You can't shake your head. The Ravens defense is bad.
I do not trust the Baltimore Ravens defense to go on the road to Jacksonville if that's who they have to play, which I think it would be who they have to play because they're the fifth seed. Game. So not only is William Trevor Lawrence and the Jacksonville Jaguars going to win their game this week and beat the Titans next week, they're going to go back home to Jacksonville, wild card weekend, and whether it's the Ravens, whether it's the Chargers, whether it's the Jets, whether it's the Dolphins, they're going to win that game too. We're going to see the Jacksonville Jaguars playing divisional round weekend in the AFC playoffs. Yeah,
I gotta agree with him, man. Whenever he start calling quarterbacks by their presidential names, that's usually when they start taking off. Ever since he started calling Joe Burrow by his Civil War name, that man been on fire. So I'm assuming some type of run is coming for Trevor Lawrence because he went on Google and found this man's birth certificate and called him by his real first name. So I'm assuming something epic's about to happen in Jacksonville. Hey, GOAT knows something we don't know.
That's what I do.
He also knows, and he didn't tell you, is that he also knows that Jacksonville has beaten both the Jets and the Ravens this regular season already. So it is not out of the realm of the possibility that both teams go into Duval County and lose that game. Sneaky guy. I saw you. You're not tricky.
I do my homework, Justin. I do my homework.
Thankfully, I also do my homework. Who also did their homework this week? Dallas Cowboys, who knew that they knew how to coach. And they figured out that the Philadelphia Eagles cannot stop the run. I said this all season and no one heard me. Well, and once again, the Philadelphia Eagles did not stop the run and did not stop Dallas from posting 40 points in this game. Doug, should the Eagles be concerned about that situation, or is it simply because, well, we don't have our MVP quarterback? Meh, this game's a wash, and it still was a one-score game anyhow.
Man, I don't think they should be concerned, man. I think they should. I mean, a lot can happen in the next 3 weeks, right? Assuming that he doesn't come back in the next 2 weeks, and Gardner Minshew, if he goes 1 for 2 the next 2 games, that'll be perfect. You know what I mean? I'm expecting that him at least win 1 out of the next 2 games. Gardner Minshew has moxie. Some could even debate when, Trevor Lawrence got drafted that he should have been starting somewhere else, right? I've heard conversations for that. He's an upper echelon he's an upper echelon backup quarterback, in my opinion. You know what I mean? He has moxie. At Dallas won. Dallas is their own worst enemy because Jerry Jones is their owner, right? Not only do I love that because I hate the Dallas Cowboys, but Dallas is a decent team. They're a decent team. If you're a Dallas fan, they're the best team on the planet, and your priorities in life are Jesus Christ and then the Dallas Cowboys. Right? Yeah, they're their own. A lot of fans drink the Kool-Aid all the time, man. But seeing the Dallas Cowboys for what they are, Dak Prescott is their quarterback, Jerry Jones is their owner. I think Eagles are going to be just fine.
JT, do you have the concerns that I have, or is it a similar, or words are hard, or is it a situation where you're not playing with Jalen Hurts, you don't really have that much to play for, we'll be fine going into the playoffs?
So is the question, is my concern that they're not going to be the number 1 seed, or is it my concern for the playoffs? Which one are you asking about? Because I feel like those 2 different things.
Should they be concerned coming out of that Dallas game? That's my question. They're going to run 1 seed in my estimation.
No, absolutely not. Because one, I don't think Jalen Hurts is that hurt. No pun intended. But I don't think he's as injured like people think he is because he missed that game. I legit think the Eagles are like, because Nick Sirianni is cocky like this. Like he's like, you know what, Gardner Minshew could beat the Cowboys. Game was in Dallas, right?
Yep.
Yeah, like I could take Gardner Minshew with this defense into Dallas, and the Dallas Cowboys are self-destruct, and I can rest my quarterback and get the number 1 seed. Like I really think that they think they can win one of these next 2 games with Minshew and rest Jalen Hurts for the playoffs. So I'm not concerned. I think if this was a playoff game, he would have played. But yeah, I think Minshew. I think Minshew should be a starter. I think he's legit. Like I mean, he played well enough in Jacksonville. To me, it was like he overcame a lot of stuff and looked like a starter. So that alone should tell you he's a good quarterback. But yeah, I think they'll be just fine, man. That team is. I said it before. Like I think the Eagles should be the favorite overall because they're the most complete team in the NFL. Like offensive, defensive line, most complete like in the league. And I don't care about you talking about like they can't stop the run. Newsflash, don't nobody want to stop the run in the NFL no more. Like only the Steelers and maybe the Ravens sometimes want to stop the run. Like nobody want to stop the run. Nobody pays run defense, but they got the most complete lines. Their defense is amazing. They have the MVP quarterback, regardless of what anybody else says, and they can play in any type of game script. You saw it when it's a shootout and each team is putting up 40 plus. The Eagles can do that. If it's one of those Green Bay games where Aaron Rodgers don't want to throw a pass and they try to run it, Eagles can go in that type of game and run it down your throat in the snow. So you show me a team in the NFL that can do that, and I'll show you a team that's better than the Eagles. But there's not. And they got an MVP quarterback, and they got the coach of the year. So like I'm not worried. Like it's all good. And if he goes down, they got Nick Foles Jr. and Minshew. They can come in and take them to a Super Bowl. So life is good if I'm the Eagles.
Dwayne already knows I think there's a team in the NFC that is better than the Philadelphia Eagles, but
You better not say the Vikings.
But come on, no, please. But
I was making sure.
That's
Making
another conversation for another day. Dwayne, should the Eagles be concerned coming out of Jerry's world?
Yes, they should be concerned. Listen, I agree with you, JT. I don't think Jalen Hurts is hurt. Again, no pun intended. I don't think he is. Here's the deal, and I think I've been saying this for the better part of a month. And again, there's going to come a point in time when you old people are going to start listening to the things that I say about the National Football League. I don't care about Jordan Davis. I don't care about Ndamukong Suh. I don't care about that D-line. That D-line, this best D-line in football, has had several bad performances against the run, against like mediocre run teams. Not even like a team like the Cowboys, who is run first, but like they let the Commanders a couple weeks ago in their lone loss of the season, or what was their lone loss of the season heading into this game, go for a 152. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Christian McCaffrey's better than Brian Robinson Jr. He's also better than Tony Pollard put together. Yes. Dalvin Cook is better than Brian Robinson Jr. He's also better than Tony Pollard and the two of them put together. Yes, we can all agree on this, right? These are two football teams that they're going to have to go through, at least one of them, to make it to the Super Bowl. They're going to run the ball. And the Eagles can't stop the run. And they might run into Dallas again. And the Dallas Cowboys, I get it, are the Cowboys. And sometimes they kind of find a way down the stretch to cowboy it up and get their own way. But they've been a good football team this season. They've already went to the well once against the Eagles just a couple days ago and got the job done running the ball. You don't think they're going to be able to do it again? I do. So that's number one. But here's number two. And I'll be honest, Justin, I came on this show with a lot of alternate agendas to whatever it is the questions you wanted me to answer. I have a bone to pick with every Philadelphia Eagles fan that has had anything to say about this game after this game has happened. And here's why, right? Philadelphia Eagles fans have moved the goalpost so very much after this loss to the Dallas Cowboys. Because let the Eagles tell it, they have one of the best defenses in football. And let the Eagles tell it, they have one of the best 1-2 punches of our receiver in football. And let the Eagles tell it, Dallas Goedert is extremely underrated at the tight end position. And here's the thing. All of these things are true. Let the Eagles tell they have the best rushing attack in football. And again, all of these things are saying it's true. I'm not saying they're not. What I am going to say is this. Eagles fans, you do not get to watch your football team, the best team in football, go down to Dallas, a divisional opponent, let them put 40 on one of the best defenses in football, one of the best secondaries in football, and then come out of that game and say, oh, if Jalen Hurts was the quarterback, we would have won. Last time I checked, Jalen Hurts doesn't play defense. So you scored 37 points. 37 points with Gardner Minshew. Cool. The defense allowed 40. And so Jalen Hurts' absence, for all I care, has nothing to do with the outcome of this game. Because for all I know, Jalen Hurts could have gone down there. You still would have lost this game. So, Eagles fans, let's stop moving the goalposts. You lost the game. The Cowboys got the better of you on Christmas Eve. Your Christmas was ruined. That's fine. Deal with it. The Eagles are going to be fine in the long run. They will get the 1 seed, as JT alluded. Jalen Hurts will be fine. He'll be healthy. He's not all that hurt, but he's hurt just enough where Nick Sirianni can say, we're not going to play in these last 3 weeks of the season. Fine. But we should be concerned because the Eagles have once again found a way to lose a game because they can't stop the run. And whether you want to stop the run or not in the NFL, you're not going to beat a team in the San Francisco 49ers who, as Justin and I know oh too well, all they want to do is run the football. And now they've got a guy in Christian McCaffrey, and all he wants to do is run the football. And I know Justin Jefferson has been having pretty much a historic season this season, not just on a franchise level, but on an NFL level. Like he is not that far off from breaking Calvin Johnson's record for the most receiving yards in a single season. You best believe that the Minnesota Vikings and Dalvin Cook are going to want to run the football against the Philadelphia Eagles. So you can look at me with all the side eyes. You can roll your eyes all you want, Jimmy. You can expose your forehead and your very bad hairline all you want on this camera. Looking,
My hairline not bad.
but
I take it straight.
you can do it all you want. The fact of the matter is the Eagles can't stop the run, and they have to go through teams that love to run the football. That is concerning. It should be concerning.
Can I add to that? Man, I think there's one team in the NFC that can dethrone the Eagles, man, and that's the Vikings, man. And yeah.
They were down. They were down 30-0 to the Colts.
I understand.
It's not a good one.
I understand.
It's not a good one, Doug.
Like, this cannot be our
No,
hero.
not a good one, Doug.
I stand on that
That's
one.
not a good one,
This
Doug.
can't
keep
be
the
our
receipts.
hero. This
Let's
cannot be
that's
our
not a
hero.
good one, Doug.
Shake this up.
Wait. Is this the
No.
same Minnesota Vikings team that went to Philly earlier this season and got spanked? That Vikings team?
It was prime time though. It was prime time. It was
Kirk
Monday night.
Cousins.
That don't count.
Kirk Cousins.
You think?
That
Wait.
was fault.
That's
This team is taken. They found their identity. They found their identity, and almost nothing can stand in their way. This team is going to. Minnesota Vikings will be in the NFC Championship
If
this
the
year.
Minnesota Vikings
I believe
win the NFC Championship game
Hold
this
on.
season,
Did they
that's gonna be a
find their
primetime
identity,
game.
or did they find?
You can huff and puff and blow the house down, Marcus. I said what I
the
said.
Vikings and the Eagles are playing each other on Championship Sunday, that's prime time. Kirk Cousins don't do well in
It's
prime
not
time,
Monday,
bro.
though. Is it Sunday night? It's Sunday night.
Sunday prime time television
Yeah.
does not
Kirk
bode
Cousins-
well
Kirk
for
Cousins
Kirk
can
Cousins.
win.
But
It'll
guys,
be the
I don't know how we brought
Same
the
thing.
Minnesota Vikings into this conversation. I don't
No,
know.
stop. Justin. Go back. See, you know what the problem is with you young little. You know the problem is y'all, you youngins, man. Like, just go back to what you said. Jalen Hurts, who is the MVP frontrunner, didn't play in this game. And you were like, oh, because the team still played good, he's irrelevant. That's like saying if Josh Allen.
That's not what I said.
That's like saying if Josh Allen played
That's
and
not what I said.
still put up 30-something points and lost. Like, see, like Josh Allen is
That's not what I
irrelevant to
said.
the outcome of the
See,
game.
now you're putting words in my mouth. I didn't say that. I didn't say that at all.
That's exactly
No.
what you said.
What I said was,
Not a good one, Marcus.
this Philadelphia defense that everyone says, every Philly defense, every Philly fan lets you tell it, one of the best defenses in football. Got the
They
best.
are.
Okay,
Huh?
I'm not disagreeing. What I'm saying with you is, if this is supposed to be one of the best defenses in football, if this is supposed to be one of the best secondaries in football, you're not going to sit here and tell me that they allow 40 points and they get off scot-free.
But you also acting like Dallas. First of all, you acting like Dallas is not a good team, but you acting like Dallas is not you act like Dallas doesn't have an elite defense, and everybody's like,
Why are
oh,
you talking about
like they
that?
haven't had bad games. Like
And this
teams have bad games. The problem is that see everybody spends all the time shitting on Dak, and that's why this game. That's why this game looks so miraculous and bad for the Eagles because y'all act like Dak is the worst quarterback ever when he is really good and a really good quarterback played well. Like that's what they do.
I'm the only person on this show that will say proudly with my chest that Dak Prescott's a top 10 quarterback in the NFL and die on that hill.
I'm with you.
Dak Prescott's great. I love Dak Prescott.
So you shouldn't be surprised that they hung a bunch on the Eagles. That is an MVP.
No, you're misunderstanding. I'm not surprised. What I am saying is this Philadelphia Eagles team did not lose on Christmas Eve because the offense played bad. That's a different situation. This team lost because the defense played terribly. This defense played
But
bad
did they
football.
lose
Well,
because Dak
to be
Prescott
fair-
is that dude?
It's
Well,
both.
well, that's
They're
also
both.
not-
But what I'm saying
So
is,
that-
Justin, Dak Prescott's a good quarterback. Relax. What I'm
Well, I'm
saying is Philly's defense played bad. And because Philly's defense played bad, all I'm saying is if you're an Eagles fan, you cannot come out of the woodwork and say, oh, if Jalen Hurts plays, we win, as if to say
Well,
That's
no,
the difference
as
in the
if to
game.
say the offense wasn't good. The offense played fine. They scored 37
Well,
on the
to
second
be
best
fair-
defense in football. This defense in Philly sold, and that's what I'm saying.
Well,
You can't
that's
take
where
the
I'm coming
blame
to
off of
counter.
Philly's defense.
So to be fair to the Philadelphia Eagles, and this is where I'm coming to counter now, Jalen Hurts' presence was hugely missed simply because there were 4 turnovers in this game, 2 interceptions and 2 fumbles. And why those were so huge is because Dallas converted 4 of those turnovers into 20 points. So that's where you have a pushback and say, yeah, Jalen Hurts did matter because 20 of Dallas's 40 points did come off of turnovers. And that's what Dallas does. This is no where I am going to push back against everyone. The Philadelphia Eagles have fooled everyone, fooled all of y'all. I've had my eyes wide open. This is not a good defense. Like I've come to realize this. Yeah, JD, this is not a good defense in that this defense relies heavily on turnovers. I've said this on Dwayne's show. I've said this over and over. This defense relies heavily on turnovers. And when they don't force turnovers or multiple turnovers, like you saw against Dallas, this is the outcome. Because the very first thing that Dwayne alluded to, they cannot stop the run. And they hear, well, this and that. Like, well, who stops the run? Well, guess what comes in playoff football, JT? The run. Because it gets cold.
Well, I know Packers know that. Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. Well, and to the best team in the NFC now, which is not the Eagles, which is not the Vikings, the team that has the longest current winning streak right now, the San Francisco 49ers. And if you cannot stop the run, well, I don't know how you expect to either play. Well, you're going to be playing in Philadelphia when it's cold as well. If you're not coming to stop the run, then well, God help you against that running attack with the San Francisco 49ers. And let's not brush it off like, oh, well, they play because they're secondary and they're not playing to stop the run. Well, then what do you plan to do against the 49ers, whose only goal is to come to run the football and set up every pass off of play action? Then what's your plan for that? Because this is not like a one-off situation. I count this 7 or 8 straight games in this current situation with the Philadelphia Eagles. In the last 7 or 8, where they have given up at least 100 yards. 7 or 8 straight. They're giving up 4.6 yards per carry. This is not a one-off situation against the Dallas Cowboys. This is not a one-off situation against the Green Bay Packers. Everyone has figured out this Philadelphia Eagles team up front cannot stop the run. And if you do not turn it over, you will not only score points, you will control the clock. So as great as Jalen Hurts has been, I wonder how good he's going to be when he's on the sideline watching defense give up all these runs.
Or you know what? You could be absolutely 100% correct. And I'm sorry, I gotta wear my hat like this for the rest of the show because Gold Marcus is like I had a Stephen A under here. And I'm not going for that.
I didn't say you had Stephen A here. I said
no. He made it.
Stephen A. Carolina up here. I never say that.
I wear these hats because it pisses off people. So that's the only reason I do that. But back to you, Justin. You could be right. I'm not saying you're wrong, but is the Philadelphia Eagles defense a bad run defense, or are they just a run funnel defense? And that's a difference because here's the thing: are the Philadelphia Eagles like, you know what? We know that our offense is so good at time of possession and putting up points and guess what? Because of that, people have to pass on us most of the time and they can't do it. So maybe people are running because that's all they can do. And they want people to run. So eventually they have to pass. Like it's a difference. Like
I thought that first, and Guru mentioned that point. I'll get to you that short. I thought that. But these games are telling me otherwise. When you sit down and watch Dallas, and you know what Dallas is coming to do, you couldn't stop it. You sat down and watched the Packers game. You went up 2 scores in that Packers game, and the Packers abandoned everything pass related and sat down and said, you are going to get a heavy dosage of Aaron Jones and A.J. Dillon. We all 4 watched that game. And the Philadelphia Eagles could not do any. If Joe Barry was a semblance of a decent football coach, The Philadelphia Eagles would have left Lambeau with a loss. Or was it in Philadelphia? Sorry, it was in Philadelphia. They were up 2 scores against Green Bay Packers, and the Green Bay Packers didn't even look twice at throwing the football with a 4-time MVP. They sit down and
how many points did the Eagles put up in that game?
It's over 30. And it was in a 1-score game that they won.
It was 33-27, I believe.
Okay, so that's a close. So what that tells me is
it was 40-33. My bad, 40-33.
So what that tells me is the Eagles' offense just didn't get going early enough to where it wasn't an issue. Like they might not be an elite run defense, but I don't think you're making it seem like they're a seed. Like they're like the Texans, where like whoever's going up against them is getting 200 yards and looking like Derrick Henry. Like they not that bad.
Record has masked the sieve that it is up front because oh my God, I'm not saying the Eagles are a bad team. Make no mistake, the Eagles are a very, very good football team.
You making it seem like they should be a lottery team with this horrible run defense that some old dude could run through.
And early in the season, all right, I'll give you a quick minute and I'll get you turn over to you, Dwayne. Early in the season, when I thought, because I did come on this show and said that they're the best complete football team, it was an Eagles fan that watches every episode of this show. A guy named Corey Bishop. So I wrote to Corey Bishop here on the show. He immediately messaged and said, Justin, you're going to have to take that back. And he pointed out before I realized, he said, this Eagles front, and it is because they're missing that run stuffer up front. Maybe that is it. He told me up front, this Eagles team is bad up front stopping run. And I took note. And boy, was he right. But again, the secondary and the results and Jalen Hurts' play is masking what's going on. Go ahead, Dwayne.
I just have a question for Mr. Thompson down here. You keep talking about how this run defense isn't that bad and how all this and all that. You talk about time of possession. There's only one team I know in the NFL actively that cannot win the time of possession battle and still beat their team by double digits. That's the Kansas City Chiefs. So if we're talking about the Eagles and the 49ers playing football, where Jalen Hurts is going to spend 75% of the game on the sidelines watching Chris McCaffrey torch this defense, are you telling me that the Eagles could lose the time of possession battle against a team like the 49ers and still win the game because how elite this offense is? Because this is a good offense. I get it. This is a good offense. You got A.J. Brown. You got Devontae Smith, both of whom are 1,000-yard receivers. I get it. Great for them. The rushing attack is solid. But this is not a quick strike offense, though. Like this is not an offense that thrives in quick strike scores. This is a very methodical offense. And I don't know if I have faith in looking at an Eagles team where whether it's going to be in Philly, of course, but like even if it wasn't, I don't think I have faith in looking at a Phillies team lose the time of possession battle and somehow beat the 49ers. How many times have the 49ers lost the game when they won the time of possession battle under Kyle Shanahan? I don't think that's ever happened. Like that's asking an awful lot out of this offense. I do not understand how you can just so blindly trust that come playoff time, when it comes down to have to face against one of the best rushing attacks in football, not just this season, but consistently over the last 4 or 5 years, one of the best rushing attacks in football is going to come to town and the Eagles are going to get past them because their run defense isn't that bad. They're going to have to face Christian McCaffrey. He's going to go for 250 and 4.
Doug, you see what I gotta deal with, man. This I knew this was gonna happen. First of all, I'm not listening to anything you gotta say about the 49ers until you know Brock Purdy's full name, because that's what it's gonna come down to. Because if Brock Purdy can't play up to his Confederate commander name, whatever you're gonna give him, the presidential name, whatever that name is, if he can't play up to that status, it won't matter, because it's gonna be Brock Purdy and his middle name does not matter. Damn all the time of his possession. All the PFF analytics that you got from your subscription. Like, I don't care about that. It's going to be Jalen Hurts versus Brock Purdy. And Kyle Shanahan, who is a notorious choker in the playoffs when it counts.
We got to get up out of here because Monday Night Football is indeed going on. So quickly, this is not long. And the name is Brock Richard Purdy.
Stop it.
Oh, that ain't good enough. No.
Stop it.
That's normal.
You're trying to take my shtick, and now Brock Purdy's going to stop.
That's normal.
You just got the Justin... Brock Purdy, if you're watching, if you start playing bad football, you guys can blame Justin Marvel for.
I blame his middle name. That he's not a baller.
It is Brock Richard Purdy for those who don't know. But quickly before we get up here, JT said it's on Brown for the Chargers to lose a game like this. But Doug, Colts Chargers call it.
Yeah, I got Chargers winning this thing. Let's say 29-11.
Sounds like what should happen. JT,
I got the
Wait,
Colts.
did you say 29-11?
Yeah,
like that's
That's such a random score. I like that.
like
He got
a random guy.
back there. He got to show us the ticket.
call it, JD.
Chargers lose. I got the Colts winning by a Brandon Staley mistake. Whatever. I don't know the score, but that's going to be the difference.
I love.
Ooh, I like that one.
I do love that one because Brandon Staley's a guy like to shit on most. Dwayne, before we get out of here, Chargers-Colts.
Justin Herbert and the Chargers are going to win by 3 scores. The Colts aren't good. And I'm actually getting sick of JT's disrespect of the Los Angeles Chargers and Justin Herbert, who is by far way better than he gets.
I'm not trying to hold up his show, but this just shows you hand picking them analytics you looking at, because everything in that book that you read should tell you the Chargers do this to themselves. It got nothing to do with what I say.
Well, I'm not talking about the Chargers. I'm talking about Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert's that dude.
Oh no,
That's a whole other conversation. Please do not get us started on Justin Herbert. Not today.
That's next week's show, guys. So before we hop on out and watch some good Monday Night Football, Doug, one of the best shows they are around, and the guy who I look to for most for so much advice. Plug yourself.
Yes, sir. First and foremost, thank you for allowing me on your show again, man. This is always such a blast. I think this is the fourth or fifth time we've worked together, man, and always love coming on here. If you want to take a subscribe, catch me on YouTube, The Touchdown with Doug Smith. It's an NFL draft prospects. We interview NFL debates, kind of like we did here tonight, covering breaking news and all kinds of great prediction videos. So The Touchdown with Doug Smith on YouTube. Catch me on there.
Subscribe and follow Touchdown with Doug Smith. Don't follow those 2 other guys. Y'all are accustomed to that. Like, you all see them. I'm joking. JD, you don't have your other half, but still tell them how to find JT and the Dawn.
No, definitely. Thanks for having me on. It definitely great working with these talented guys. Like, please go follow them all, man. This is high quality stuff. But it's JT and the Dawn, all sports podcast. You can find us wherever you listen to all your podcasts. Follow us on IG and TikTok and Twitter. And like, if you want to see more of this, what we did today, just follow all of us, and you'll get that.
Yeah, one of the best looking Instagram pages around. Like, I really want to get our show to that sort of level. I don't feel like I should tell anyone how to get to go talk with Marcus, because like he has been a pest on the show for too long. Like, y'all know, but if y'all, it's been a while since he's been on the show. So please go, like, I'm there as much as I can be. So please go and subscribe and follow. Dwayne, Marcus, please plug yourself.
Look, bro, usually I have this long spiel about my plugs. There's only one thing I care about. Today's December 26th. Today's December 26th, bro. There's 6 days left in the year, which is actually crazy to say. I said at the beginning of the year that we're going to have 150s. We have 138. So please, go. I just need 12 of you to go to YouTube, go talk with Marcus, go to YouTube. If you don't know which logo it is, it's the logo with the black cartoon dude, with the fire mic, and the orange background. If you are not already subscribed, please subscribe to the channel so we can hit our goal of 150 by the end of the year. There's a couple episodes up there that have dropped over the last couple days that are really fire. You should all check out. It's always a pleasure to come on here. It's been too long. I'm glad I was able to get on here for the last Monday of the year. And there we go. Appreciate you, bro. Appreciate y'all, bro. 10 more people. 10 more people to head over there so we can hit our goal of 150 by the end of the year.
9 more people. Correction.
That's better. I love it. So listen, I know I give Justin a hard time. It's been too long since I've been on the show. Hopefully, y'all get it back to back, and I kick off the year here too, so I can yell at Justin some more. But I don't know. That's not up to me. That's up to. Oh, and Neil, Marsha, people. I know it's been a minute since I brought this up. Neil and Marsha and I, we're still trying to figure out the kinks to make sure that I can become the permanent host at this Justin. I know it's been a while since we've kind of been trying to figure it out. There's a publicity thing we got to worry about and some paperwork I got to sign. It's a whole big thing, but it's coming.
Ain't no trying to hear that. But please do make sure to subscribe, follow all these guys. Great content. Like, you know, this show isn't what it is without these guys, because I'm not going to talk myself. I'm not that narcissistic, am I? The guy who puts his name in the show, I'm not that narcissistic. But honestly, guys, please go follow these great gentlemen. Go watch Monday Night Football. And when you're not, like, come back here every Monday night, 7 p.m. Central. 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central, right here on Monday night. For our short form content, Instagram, I want to say Twitter, and also Facebook. Hashtag this just in. Please put in the hashtag. You do not want Matt Skellerman. You want this show. For JT and his declining hairline, apparently he says that it's not declining. Nope, it's there. It's there. Oh, and by the way, yes, I knew there was something I need to say. Y'all do have to subscribe to Go Talk with Marcus because the dude is 6'3", and I think he will turn up at your house and beat you. Yeah, he doesn't look like 6'3" there. He's an dude that will turn up at your house and bring those fists. I haven't told him where exactly I live because I don't want that 6'3" guy at my house.
Go knows where I'm at. So hey,
bring it on. But honestly, we want to get to Monday Night Football. So for Doug, for Marcus, for JT, I am indeed Justin of hashtag this Justin signing out. Please come back here Monday night again, 7 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. Central. Good night.
I know that after tonight, you don't have to look up at the stars. No. I
Come take a look at my dream world.
Tonight, you don't have to look up at the stars.
Chat, if you wanna come get it, then come for it. I'm so clean, my kick's nice, I'm Chuck Norris. Minute made the beat bounce, had to jump on it. Run for it, run, Gump Forrest Gump like hollow pumps, you gotta jump. No trouble, no double, I got a stun. You don't have to look up at the stars. Make one wish, you're looking at a star. Swag so fresh, you can put it in the